like, good job getting out there. And it just felt so dehumanizing.
Hello, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Wicked Weird Wednesday. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I talk about anything that I find on YouTube to be interesting or weird or worth discussing with a heavy center on gorl world. I like the gorls. What can I say? They are intriguing. They interest me. And one of my favorite gorls is Glitter and Lasers. Today we are going to be discussing her running trail drama saga. Let's get into it.
Just stopped my run to have a little cry in this beautiful area, and I'm crying for a silly reason. Somebody stopped me on the trail while I was walking, just doing my cool down. I was doing like intervals today, so like I walk in between, and she's like, good job getting out there. And it just felt so dehumanizing. It felt so shitty, and I just am having a bad day anyway. I came out here to run to try to feel better, and I know this person was well-intentioned, but man, it felt shitty. It felt really bad. I already know I'm going to get a ton of DMs being like, she's well-intentioned. But you know what? I am about to start my period. I'm hormonal AF. And I'm going to be really honest here. That woman saw me and assumed that I was entirely out of shape and that it was my first day on the trail. And that's because she has preconceived views of what a plus-size body is and is not able to do. And as a person who's out here every freaking day trying to change that perspective, it's frustrating that it's still so ingrained in our society. It doesn't matter how many miles I run. It doesn't matter how many times I'm on the trail. Someone's always going to stop me and treat me that way, and it sucks.
So that moment was 2023. We all talked about it, but anyway, I was poking around on the internet and I found this article from November 2018, 7 years ago. And as you can see, she's discussing beginning a running journey. I can't remember if she says it's her first running journey. I don't think it is, because I do think she talks about running in her book, Life Full of Glitter. So this, I'm a runner too, and you'll go through ebbs and flows. I've been running since my 20s, and I've had on and off times. So I'm sure she's had a few different running journeys. That's fine. But this particular one was from 2018, and it's just funny that she appears to be telling the same story. Somebody stopped her on the trail that she runs every week and tells her, you go girl, you're going to achieve your goals. And she says that their immediate assumption is that not only am I out there running to lose weight, but it's also the first time I've ever run before and that I need encouragement. So she's assuming that that's what they think about her. She doesn't know if that's what they think about her. So it's almost like assumption inception. Like, she is assuming what they are assuming about her. So Anna, stop assuming things, okay? You don't know what people think. If somebody gives you words of encouragement, they probably mean it. They just mean the words that they're saying. I just thought that this was funny, and it also made me wonder if she was I don't want to call her a liar, or say that she was making up the story in 2023, but it kind of makes me feel like she was just re-spinning the same story for the sake of clicks and views, maybe a little bit of rage bait. Anna has education in marketing, like that's what she went to school for, and I believe she has a degree in internet marketing of some kind. So she knows how to get clicks and views, and this particular thing, would you stop and cheer on a thin runner? No, that's wrong. I cheer on anybody that's running. I've high-fived people. I've had people high-five me. And it doesn't really matter what size you are. A lot of times if you're doing something, especially if it's something that somebody else has already done and they know this particular section of the trail is difficult or this trail in itself is difficult, just the fact that they see somebody else doing it, they're like, good job, because they know I just did this and I know how hard it is. So there's that. You know, you're assuming that it has to do with your weight, and it doesn't. And that's your problem. You know, you're kind of turning a good thing into a bad thing through your assumption. And, you know, I really think that she is putting a negative connotation on the whole running community and the fitness community. Of course, there's outliers everywhere. There's just people that are going to be jerks. There's people that are going to look at you and, you know, have assumptions about you. And every single person in the world has that happen to them. It doesn't matter if you are, you know, big or little or tall or short or, you know, what color you are or where you're from. Everybody is going to have assumptions made about them. So just because you're a big person doesn't mean that you have more assumptions made about you than anyone else. You know, I participate in trail running and ultra running, ultra marathon running, where you run really long distances, usually in the mountains. And, you know, there's a lot of different types of bodies that participate in that kind of endurance sport. You know, you have to be pretty sturdy and rugged, and, you know, it does require a lot of eating, fueling, and nutrition. So you kind of have to dial that in. And, you know, through my journey training and participating in ultra marathons, I started at a weight of 195, and I am 5 feet tall. So that's a really high weight for me. And I did start like with the walk run pattern and kind of worked my way up, worked my way through the miles. And now I am about 130, just under. And you know, my weight has kind of, it's been a very slow weight loss. And I've done it through running. So I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be a heavy runner. I know what it's like to be a smaller runner. And I've always had people give me words of encouragement no matter what size I am. And like I said before, most of the time it is because, you know, when somebody sees you literally grinding on a trail that they know is hard, you know, the first thing they want to do is commiserate with you. Like, good job, man. You're doing it. Like, I know how hard it is. I just came up this trail, or I just, you know, finished my mile. And it's to assume that they are assuming anything negative about you is a really shitty way to look at the world. It's a really shitty way to look at the running community. It's a really shitty way to look at the fitness community. It's a really shitty way to look at the world. And if you're meeting the world with this kind of attitude, you're the problem. It's not anybody else. You're the problem. And it doesn't matter what you look like or what size you are. If you are looking for a problem, you're going to find it. If you're looking for an asshole, you're going to find it. And, you know, oftentimes it's going to be you. So that's all I have to say. I just thought it was very interesting that, you know, 7 years later, well, actually it's 7 years now. So 2023 would have been like 4 years later. Approximately, you know, 4 or 5 years later, she has the same story and the same complaints. So, Anna, maybe you should just, you know, take the compliment and keep it pushing, girl. Anyway, what do you guys think? I'm just talking shit. Why don't you talk shit with me in the comments down below? Thank you for joining me. I will be back later with more Gorl World crap. Bye.
Please like and subscribe.